15 billion in our budget proposal, which is very highly inadequate. And this is expected that this contingency fund is where we should meet up the motions of the National Assembly and their resolutions, like Senator Demoshimole, had reminded me. And so it's on this contingency fund, because we can't go to any other fund that is not appropriated for. That is violent and it's not allowed under the law in it. So provision to cater for unforeseen emergencies that regularly occur on the road network, especially during the rainy season. So we are requesting that 30% should be appropriate for contingency fund for the ministry. An increase of the ministry present budgetary allocation to about 1.5 trillion to complete at least 10 selected critical roads and bridges in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. C. Urgent review of all certified debts to contractors and, if possible, convert sale to promissory notes to contractors so that we can properly get focused. Sorry for that spelling. Focus in using any fund appropriated to us to pursue the ministry's set objectives. D. Inflection. Many contractors are presently out of sight because they have exhausted their contract VOPs and needed the project units rates to be reviewed. It will be good that all VOPs and documentation of all the projects are reviewed, and those that are owed to be converted to promissory notes, while unit rates regime will take effect on contractors in line with the current realities of the construction industry. Page 18. More eligible companies should be encouraged to pay into the road tax credit scheme to increase the number of private sector intervention. This means front-loading their tax liability to solve our present challenges. There have been a lot of misunderstanding about tax credit. People thought that tax credit, that these taxes are ready, and instead of paying it into the federation account, it is paid, they use it, the contractors who are the owners of the jobs use it. No. This a system and very innovative by the past administration when tax are front-loaded, some up to 2027. So they are to bring the tax forward to do the projects that will enhance the capacity of their businesses. And they are the ones choosing these routes by themselves. Like the NNPC choice of routes is based on the transportation of their petroleum products. And they have, a lot of says in the making of the choices of those routes. The raising of funds from the capital market to financial development in the country, creation of an enabling environment by fixing the roads so that the deployment of the highway development and management initiative can be effective. We're talking about this private sector participation. Like somebody is asking about the interventions, that is FEMA that should do intervention. The truth is that our roads have not been properly done. Every road being done may just last about 5 years, and they grow into a very bad situation that FEMA's capacity, cannot meet it. And again, these are motions of the National Assembly, and National Assembly from time to time appropriate for these emergencies, and so we are bound by your laws to obey. And we suggest that appropriation for projects be such that no projects, when started, should last more than 4 years. And then issues of asphalt, versus concrete. Let me just explain that we have not asked any contractor not to use asphalt, or you are bound to use concrete. No, we've not said so. We are concerned about the poor quality of our roads. I was in China, I've said this severally, and I asked them, there is no evidence that any of their roads has been maintained for the past 20 years. They say yes. Even though they argue that the quality of our construction by reason of our appropriation, where roads are lasting 20 years, and by the reason of technical specification, which they claim we cannot pay, is such that if you build a road and in your lifetime the road fails, and you're culpable in any way, by reason of the quality of the roads, by reason of the thicknesses and so on and so forth, the person goes to jail for life. There is no option of fine. And so we now said, okay, in our case, if you say our appropriation cannot meet up the standard in China, can you at least, our design is for a shelf life of 20 years for asphalt and concrete for 50 years. Can you give us a bond? Can you give us insurance that you will be limited to 5% VOP while using asphalt as in the contract, and that your road will last for 15 years? And I intend to send a memo to Mr. President where I will suggest a bill to National Assembly that every contract that is beyond 5 billion, we should inject 2% of that contract into the contracts for maintenance by the contractors. Because no matter how badly a road is constructed, it can last 1 year, and that's the deferred liability period, and the contractor walks away. And then we start talking about overloading. We don't have overloading, on our roads. The truth is poor construction. And so when we have this 2%, the contractors will be bound to maintain the roads for 10 years. And they will do a drawdown on this 2%. And that's what we are proposing. So we say using asphalt is good, but you have to be bound by that 15 years, the road will not fail. And it will not come to ask us for more than 5% VOP. And using concrete is 50 years, and you are bound by the VOP. And that's the explanation. We have not banned the use of it. And your 2022 supplementary, we got all the contractors to give a written guarantee that they will abide by this. And I think it's something that all the stakeholders should encourage the ministry to do, and to understand the real policy of the ministry. And again, and finally, we are talking about the pressure on the Naira. We have bitumen deposit in Ogun State, and so this bitumen deposit could be developed instead of importation. From the research we made, we discovered that the importation in the country that represents about 30% on the importation of bitumen. And so, if we use our local content of concrete, the concrete is all about the roads. We are talking with the Minister for Steel on how we can partner with him. Will we guarantee the road that is going to produce? And I'm very sure that before March, that section of Ajokuta Steel will start production. And we've gotten some people to finance it, and we guarantee it, and that is the reinforcement. But the cement is produced here, the chippings produced here, the sand produced here, the labor is here, and so the local content as passed by the National Assembly is brought to the front border. Let me finally thank Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Senator Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the intervention of his new Hope administration in the works sector and approval of an enhanced budget envelope for the Federal Ministry of Works. We also thank the leadership of the National Assembly, the chairman and members of the Works committees, and indeed members of National Assembly for their painstakingly in ensuring the speedy passage of 2024 appropriation bill. Mr. Chairman, I so submit, and thanks for the privilege and the opportunity.
Chairman Demo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the co-chair. At the same time? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the co-chair, distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly. Honorable Minister, I listened to you attentively when you talk about 100 billion naira, 100 billion naira on new projects. But you know very well that we have serious challenges on the completion of new roads. Sorry, on the completion of all roads we started. What is the essence of building new roads when there are old ones that have not been completed? You are also aware that we passed the supplementary budget of 2022, where 500 billion naira made for road construction was taken for palliatives. And that amount was done with the understanding that all the roads that are supposed to be constructed or reconstructed will appear in 2024 budget. I look at your 2024 budget proposal. Those roads are not reflected. Our contractors have already moved to the site. Some of them have done considerable work and they are waiting for payment. What explanation can you give to the National Assembly? Because some of those roads were taken by Federal Ministry of Works with due consultation with the members of the National Assembly, and they cut across all the geopolitical zones. None of them appears to be here in the 2024 budget. On the issue of tax credit and scope, we will be interested to know what criteria you are going to use to distribute the money you raise for scope. Is it going to be on geopolitical zones, or is it going to be done on critical road infrastructure in the country? Your predecessor used to take 6 roads from each of the 6 geopolitical zones. We had flooding in 2022. The Federal Ministry of Works sent circulars to all the controllers of work at the state level, and they forwarded what is required to be done. Our contract was awarded, and I look at what you have in the 2024 budget. There is no provision for payment of those contractors that have finished their work. And members of the National Assembly are the ones that complain bitterly to the Federal Ministry of Works. And the ministry was compelled to contact their controllers of state. So, what arrangement are you going to make to ensure that those contractors get paid? But it is not fair for a contractor to be asked to move to the site, and he moves to the site, he does the work, complete the work, and then payment becomes a problem because of budgetary constraints. So we need to know what funding arrangement you have for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, my co-chairman, distinguished colleagues, the microphone was very close to me, and I could not have allowed it to pass. Mr. Chairman, sir, I want to take a clue from what my very senior distinguished colleague, Adam Zosomoli, earlier have said here. I'm taking a particular look at the project. I've gone through all of it, and would only have come to understand and underscore the fact that my colleagues and former colleagues that have been in the National Assembly are under a very serious spell and oppression, both in the Senate and as it stands, taking the overview of all the activities going on, both in my state and in the Niger Delta that we represent. as was earlier agreed, that all the items that were not attended to in the supplementary budget of 2023 will be rolled over to the budget of 2024. But what I have come to see is a different ballgame. And the only prominent item I have seen here as it concerns the whole rundown of the east-west road is only 1,500,000,000 Naira. And if you have gone round all of the roads in Nigeria, and you made so much remark also about the east-west road, and you know the importance of the east-west road. It's not just because of oil producing, but it's the main movement center cutting across the west, the south, the east, even to the north. And that is how important that road is. And you have only put in 1.5 billion. I wonder how anybody would want to look at it. How dear this road is to you and the ministry. And we are thinking that you should do something very quickly over that, because if we go by this, which means even for 10 years, this road will still be under construction. And to cap it all, what I saw in the budget again, on October, I saw only 10 million Naira either to rehabilitate or whatever. And you know that is the former president's place. 10 million. Is this a very serious project that I should be sitting down here to even defend? Mr. Chairman, sir, taking a look also of the new project, I don't think that proper stakeholders were involved in the management and inclusion of this project. Proper stakeholders. I mean proper stakeholders. And there will be no proper stakeholder to talk on my behalf in my constituency than myself and the members that are sitting down here. And we are both proper and critical stakeholders that were not contacted. I suggest that you do something also on that. I haven't said to Mr. Chairman, I will pass the message to someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, distinguished colleagues, members, honorable minister. Honorable Commissioner, I want you to my apologies. Honorable Minister, I'd like to apply you to paragraph annexure 13 for new capital projects. Annexure 13. Therein is a list of projects per zone, which your ministry intends to execute in 2024. But I'm horrified. It's not designated. That's a new project. I Annex 6.
Is it on your book?
Annex 6. 6 from the booklet.
No.
Annex 6, new projects.
We have replaced that.
Okay, fine, regardless. I've also seen through that as well. There is a very important and strategic national project which was never captured in your budget. And I'm shocked because I believe that road is very critical to linkage between the southeast and Abuja, the local Iwetu road. The bridge is already there. It is the connector roads that have not been captured. And how is local Iwetu? The bridge is there, one of the best bridges that the ministry has ever constructed over the years. But it is not captured, the roads are not there. That link will cut distance time from the southeast to Abuja by over 2 hours. From the southeast. That's one. Secondly, Honorable Minister, last week, 18 innocent lives were lost on Abuja-Kaduna Road because of the poor condition of that road. While the discussion about the review of rates and other technical issues are being done, I would have thought the ministry will continue to impress on the contractor to utilize provision for palliative works on that road so that innocent lives and properties will not be put at jeopardy. And I think it is very important for the ministry to look at that critically. That road is an embarrassment, is an eyesore, Kaduna-Abuja expressway. Even if the road cannot continue for the technical reasons you mentioned about the variations, about the technical issues and all of that, but at least that road should be fixed so that reasonably movement of goods and services should continue unhindered. It is unacceptable. Last week I said 18 lives were lost, and this is a daily occurrence, and I think the ministry should look into that. Finally, the narratives in the budget. Over the years, I remember the complaint from the ministry has always been that the National Assembly cut and dismember the budget when it is brought here. But from what I see here, they're also doing the same. They're also doing the same. The few palliative works that are in the budget should be the responsibility of FEMA. The ministry should be more focused on construction. Our rule book is very clear on that. Section 28 of our rule book, of the Senate rule book, reposed the responsibility of maintenance of federal roads to the FEMA agency, and it's an agency under your ministry. If they are having some challenges or some capacity issues, it is your responsibility of the minister to develop their capacity, to empower them to do the job. It is unacceptable that their incapacity or their weaknesses should be used as an excuse not to give them a responsibility bestowed on them by the Senate of this Nigerian Senate. And I think this should be looked into critically, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. And
let me lead